So let's start with topic 1, the lighting. All 3 of the original Mass Effect games have superb lighting, especially Mass Effect 2, which in my view has the best rendering style in the original trilogy. Its cinematics, conversations and locations are expertly rendered to maximize the look of not only the game's core art direction, but also to enhance its storytelling. Mass Effect 2 bases so much of its vivid lighting style on popular film inspirations like 1980's Empire Strikes Back, 1982's Blade Runner, and 2009's Star Trek reboot. Shadows are purposely dark, highlights are sharp yet still natural, and the addition of soft rim lighting gives a subtle dimension to characters within these high contrast scenes. It's a visual language meant specifically to enhance the various themes of the game, especially within the loyalty missions that deal with quite serious subject matter, be that betrayal, revenge, trauma, ethics, and so on. Lighting was a key creative concern of Mass Effect 2's original art direction and cinematics teams, as you can see them talk about here in this clip from the making of the game.
Well, Mass Effect 2 is a darker game. We definitely wanted to support that with the lighting. Definitely going to some gritty worlds. We go right from clean space stations to sort of the dark end of the spectrum.
From a cinematic point of view, lighting is so important. We wanted to make each level have its own color palette, have its own lighting style. What this allows us to do is to guide the player through color and lighting, through the story, through the ups and downs, but each level is designed with its own specific color mixture, color temperature, color palette in mind.
A good example to start showcasing how the Legendary Edition fails to preserve this distinct visual look can be found in Garrus' loyalty mission. This character arc is about coping with betrayal and the price that revenge can have on someone with an otherwise strong moral compass. Is Garrus more than a finger on a sniper rifle's trigger? This character dilemma is put under sharp focus in the final act of his loyalty mission, where he and Shepard lure Sidonis out of hiding to either kill, or, if Shepard decides to intervene on moral grounds, spare the Turian that got his friend's team killed. The scenes take place in a low, neon-lit location, drenched in deep shadows. The main sources of light either coming from the window to Shepard's left, or the overhead lights with a teal look to them, as you can see here. The Legendary Edition has removed almost all of this nuanced rendering, leaving behind an absolute mess of critical scenes that now lack any and all artistic use of both light and shadow, a pattern that gets repeated throughout the ME2 Legendary Edition. Shepard and other characters move around the composition of these important shots in near total darkness, or they just get rendered with unnaturally flat lighting regardless of their surroundings. Sidonis, for example, sits and stands under what is supposed to be strong teal overhead lighting, but is instead darkened, which also contradicts his surroundings. It just looks bloody awful. It is these loyalty scenes in particular that stand out as probably some of the ugliest examples of the lighting problems that plague damn near every level in the game. This bizarre look also extending to other iconic cinematics, like for example Horizon's opening, which has been scrubbed clean of almost all of its natural sunlight. For me, it's really hard to stay engaged with the story when the visuals that previously enhanced its writing are now completely absent from the cinematics. Here are some more examples of how this issue manifests in other scenes in the game, be that the primary story scenes, recruitment scenes, conversations, and so on. When you watch the behind the scenes material for Mass Effect 2, you can clearly see that a lot of carefully considered technical and artistic work was put into almost every visual in the game. Every cinematic, every conversation, and environment was built from the ground up to look the way it did in the original game to further very specific thematic and artistic goals. When updating them for more modern systems, it should have required a deep respect for the source material, but I just can't see any of that respect for it here. The lighting is just not there anymore. The official blog post and comparison media for the Legendary Edition, detailing the changes and additions made to these games, shed some light on what may have been to blame for these visual problems, but not by much. What we do know based on this scarce information is that the lighting engine across all 3 games was jury-rigged with a new universal one, and a bunch of random post-processing effects was slapped onto the image to give off the vague appearance of a next-generation title. Before the Legendary Edition's launch, footage for the second and third game was shown off in various trailers and IGN-sponsored YouTube videos, though for some reason it was very selective, quickly edited, and there was also a strange reliance on pre-rendered promotional ball shot imagery, including cinematics that cannot be reproduced in the actual remastered games. This could just be marketing at work, but I can't help but feel that this was mainly used because of a real lack of confidence in the final look of the product. The only explanations I can personally come up with in regards to how the lighting in the LE2 specifically ended up being left in such a poor state are as follows. They are the result of either a lack of care from the new developers, poor overall direction from the department leads, or maybe they are just the result of a technical nightmare that prevented these devs from readjusting the new lighting engine to respectfully imitate the original look of these cinematics. Given how pervasive and similar looking the lighting issues are in all three of the remastered games, I tend to default to the latter explanation, or maybe consider it a combination of the former and latter. In either case, the results you are seeing here should speak for themselves, and Mass Effect 2 I feel suffers the most of all.